Welcome back, everyone. We are here for another incredible episode of the Gathering Movement interview series. I'm here today with beautiful Jill Rathburn, who is going to be talking about her journey, her story, and really her work that empowers so many beautiful women nowadays. So thank you, Jill.
Oh, Bridget, thank you so much for inviting me on your amazing podcast or streaming site. I was just honored and humbled and have been following you. And I think you do amazing work and have had some awesome guests on. So I'm glad to be contributing.
Thank you. I like to give people a backstory sometimes of how we know each other. And we know each other because my mom and you are dear friends in Florida. And she has just spoken so highly of you. And I just want to thank you for that friendship.
Oh, absolutely. It is one of your guests. You met her in an ashram, and I did think of your mother and I. And so it was a year or so ago or more, and we were doing a Kundalini retreat in Sarasota. We had this amazing yogi from New York City here for 3 days, and it was the second day. And I had my doTERRA oils, and your mom was, I could just tell, like perked up. So I said, here, feel free, and then in the middle of the yogi session, which isn't typical, we were encouraged to turn to our neighbor and introduce ourselves. And so your mom and I just immediately turned to each other, even though we were in a sort of a long row of people, and the magnet was there. And we just have been fast friends since. So I will shout out to, I was going to thank your mother at the end, but a shout out to Tara and Tim, amazing people and parents and civic leaders and just really caring people, just wonderful, authentic people of integrity. So of course they raised you, their first daughter. So yes.
Very true. And I was so inspired when my mom told me about you. And I've, of course, looked a little bit into your work, but I'd love for you to share with everyone who's listening today how your work in the world empowers people to be the leader of their life.
Yes. Oh, that is just such a great way of asking that question. So I help women totally transform their lives, overcoming decades of dysfunctional patterns and habits. Now, my business, Humble Warrior Women, when it launched just a year ago, January 1st, which seems hard to believe because it seems like 5 years has passed because so much awesome things have happened, and the connections I've made with other people and the transformation that's occurred, it just seems longer than a year. But we really focused on helping women go from early recovery to transformation. And the pathway of doing that is healing. And so that is what we have been focusing on. There are so many amazing programs and coaches and counselors that help people get sober. But what I was focusing on is helping people stay sober, strengthen their recovery, heal, and move towards transformational growth. That was the void that I couldn't find that. And so I healed myself. And that's when I knew, when I was in India on learning and studying yoga, and got my yoga teacher certification. That's when I got the download, as we say. But that was really where my calling. Yeah. So anyway, that is what I've been helping women achieve, is their transformation from early recovery through healing to transformative change.
I so appreciate this work. And I shared with you that I also teach yoga at an outpatient drug rehab center. And, I'm just there once a week, but we do some yoga. I have them share what they love about themselves. I get them thinking. We do some breath. And, my role is very simple. And I think that your role goes so much deeper and it's so much more longer lasting. And I appreciate this healing piece that you're bringing in. What type of healing do people typically need when they're on this journey?
Oh, goodness. The sky is the limit. Every single thing is open for review. So, since I'm focusing on alcohol use disorder, I will use that as an example. So, when we learn to put down the drink, I think that we, as well as the rest of the world, assume that the problem is the alcohol only, and just simply putting down the drink, all will be well. And while that is a big, big help for the mind, body, and spirit, for sure, to put down the drink, it is an invitation to just start beginning to really allow the body, mind, and spirit to naturally start to heal. And so that really is what we're trying to do, and is really just illuminate all the opportunity that we can put ourselves in a position to heal. So when we put down the drink, that means we're putting down a coping strategy. So something that would have irritated us in the past, we drank, we became less irritated. Now we put down the drink, we become irritated. Now what? Well, we don't want to start eating, which often happens. Okay, so we work on that. What do we do? So we look at a variety of strategies. So, and healing the mind helps healing the body helps healing the mind, and creating a higher connection with, I had no spirituality, no spiritual connection, zero. And in fact, addictive behaviors is an interrupter. It is almost nearly impossible to have a relationship with a higher power when you are blocking it with addictive behavior, because you're coming from the reptile brain. You're really not human. You're really it's an animal instinct of wanting and needing to survive. So it's really, the healing is it's the sky's the limit. And so we start easy. Actually, the easy part is the body. Mm-hmm. We start easy, focusing on, starting with sleep, because a lot of women with alcohol use disorder crash at night after drinking. And so no one, we don't typically have the healthy way of going to bed with maybe journaling and a cup of tea and some breath work and gratitude and then sound asleep.
True.
So it's relearning all of those ways. And as we do that, it's an awakening. It's you every day you show up where you are, right? Mm-hmm. So the universe is showing up where, it's meeting you where you are. And I, who have been on this journey now, I'm a registered nurse, so I graduated from college, with my nursing degree, and started in pediatric nursing. And so I've been on this journey a long time. And even every day is a little mini awakening, because I'm reading information and hearing it maybe slightly different, because I'm meeting it where I am. And so that is what recovery is all about. And I focused on alcohol for the last year, because that is what I personally went through and where I knew the need was. But this coming year, it's really exciting. We have decided to expand our program, our healing program, to all women looking to change and grow and heal. For a variety of reasons, whether they're going through a change in their life, or looking to reinvent their life, or to transform their health. There are a variety of reasons endless number of reasons. And so that's where we're moving.
So cool. And I was this morning I did my Kundalini practice, and I wanted to share the addiction meditation, which is a specific meditation Kundalini yoga that uses sound, and it uses pressing on some points. You probably know this. And I was reading the write-up because I wanted to share it with the class that I taught. And the first couple lines were talking about if we don't have an addiction to alcohol, food, sex, all of us have some kind of addiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's even to acceptance or to wanting to feel that you are enough and wanting to feel loved. And we have these addictions that are beyond just societal addictions. And I thought it was so funny as you and I were going to be talking today, and I knew that you were making this transition. So the women that you are looking to work with now, how does healing play a role in their transformation?
The same way it would play a role with anyone in any time they acknowledge that they need to make a change. And I think this is a good time to talk about really, I've been inspired to begin speaking and writing further on what I believe are the stages of healing. And I've been inspired by so many amazing researchers. Patricia Fennell has stages of chronic illness. She was inspired by Kubler-Ross's work on death and dying. In recovery, a physician who is very well respected, Dr. Stephen Melamis, also has stages of recovery. And then, of course, the 12 steps. So I have a lot, and then on my own background, of course, in classic, what I would call traditional Western medical processes. And so what I see as the steps of healing are, first is to basically stop. So there's usually an event. Not always. Some people literally do wake up and have like an epiphany that something needs to change. But most of the time, there's an incident that stops you in your tracks. And it forces us to confront the significant problem. And that's one. So it's a stop, a shock. Second is we surrender, we accept, we acknowledge the issue. And there, that statement, you cannot heal what you cannot accept, right? You really need to acknowledge, oh, this is a problem. And I love the surrender word. Thankfully, in recovery, surrender is a word of empowerment, strength, and courage for you to be able to surrender to a problem you cannot solve. And so that is the second phase, the surrender phase, the acceptance phase. Then the third phase, and this is really the fun phase, I think, is you start like gathering information, like, oh, okay, so I have this problem. How am I going to go about solving this? And you ask all your neighbors, you ask all your friends, you find people on social media who are experts. Maybe go to a couple practitioners, some classic ones, maybe acupuncture, naturopath, counselors, coaches. Like you become on this like big journey. And that is where I come in. My program is that journey, because a lot of people they may have a couple of ideas, but they really, really do want to learn and they don't know where to go. And so we make this very, very easy. We focus on the body. We focus on the mind. Then we focus on our environments. And then we focus on our social relations. And so I use a program that is aligned with Ken Wilber's work. And so very grounded in social science, clinical science, highly researched, and I'm just very, very proud of it. So that is really a lot of fun. So that can last. Some people do all their work in a week and ready to make some decisions. Other people, this can go on for a while, but at a point, maybe it's a year, hopefully a little less than that. You rein it in, and this fourth phase is you commit to what you can do.
Love that.
Right? What is going to be your new lifestyle? Right? It really is out with the old, and the old being what no longer serves you, and in with the new, what promises, appears to be able to serve you moving forward, right? Nothing is absolute. It's a dynamic process. And so you create a plan, right? I'm huge on routine with my clients, getting them to almost do the same things at the same time every day, because it helps your nervous system, right? I mean, and the nervous system, and then it just goes from there, right? It helps our GI system, helps all of our systems, our immune system, if it knows what's coming. And so that's the fourth phase, is committing to a new lifestyle and making that plan. And I have tools for that too, great tools. And then the last is really when the transformative change can begin and the healing really can start taking hold. And as I know, Bridget, healing is not like always in a linear, there's some stops and starts. But, at that point you're doing, things that are supporting your health, and that you've chosen choice to put yourself in a position to heal and move forward with a healthy and vibrant lifestyle. And then you can start calling on other more meaningful issues for yourself, like purpose, right? Change, where am I going now? How can I impact the world? Things of that sort, which you are doing. And so that last phase is really when the transformative change begins. And so those are the stages of healing as I see it.
Mm-hmm. I really appreciate that you put it into a kind of construct, a step-by-step process, because I find that even for women, men are very used to structure and like rigidity. And as women, we sometimes shy away from that. But when we have structure, it actually allows us to flow, our femininity to actually just flow. And the two parts I really appreciate where you also come in are this piece of, I forget what was 3 again?
3 is like the fun. It's like getting all the information. It's like, it's almost like going on a shopping spree. Let's go into this store and this store and this store and this store. Like, this is for mine. This is for body. This is for my environment. Like,
yeah. And that's such an exciting phase. And I remember this for myself, starting to gather information and gather knowledge. And then I like how you then turn it into, okay, well, how can you make that your commitment, your lifestyle? Because a lot of people struggle with this integration of information to life.
Right. Absolutely. The fourth, every step is critical. And this really does go in order. You really, like, for example, you need to stop before anything else happens. You need to surrender and accept and acknowledge your issue before anything else happens, and so forth. But the committing to a plan, this is where people can get tripped up. Like, I have met people who are amazing life seekers, but they're sort of stuck in the third phase. They're still on that shopping spree of health strategies. And they'll tell you, like, they literally are like an encyclopedia on health strategies.
Yep.
But meanwhile, they don't necessarily seem happy or pure healthy, or and you just sort of like, you're so close. So really, it's the doing.
Yes.
It's the doing, and it's beautiful. Like, it does start, in our brain, the thinking, and it moves to our heart chakra, the feeling. But it's the doing, when we move to it, that everything, the energetic flow, the healing flow state, as we call it, really can start to take hold, the moving. So we like to call it, like, don't make it your to-do list, make it your to-be list. Yes.
I love that because we need, and there's a yogic teaching that talks about your experience is your greatest teacher of all.
Yes.
And we can't just be book smart. We can't just, there's information everywhere these days. So that's not the issue. It's now about how can you actually implement this information into your life, make it a lifestyle, and keep up with it, and have dedication, have commitments to yourself. And I work with a lot of women who don't make a commitment to themselves. It's almost, then it goes into the worthiness piece. Well, am I worthy to do this? Is this going to happen? Who am I to do this? So I really appreciate the way that you are guiding them on this journey. And then it ends with purpose. Right. And they start to ask those deeper questions because they have learned, they have integrated, they've taken some action, and they start to realize and get a deeper sense of understanding of who they are and what they're here for.
And they have more energy now, more time to naturally think about, okay, I've been doing this other job that was great, for a while, but I'm not as inspired by this job anymore. And it leads me in places I don't want to be, or with thoughts I don't want to, it's time for me to make a change. I work with a lot of people that once they heal and are at least on the healing pathway and have committed to their routine, they start to realize they need to make some other changes, right? If we're not feeling well, it's hard to make a career change. Mm-hmm. If we're not happy, it's hard to make a career change, right? So we first take care of ourselves. Like I would almost say the low-hanging fruit, but we forget it's low-hanging because we get caught up. I mean, this is a fast-paced society with a lot of responsibility, and as we age, we just somehow we lose our way a little bit. We start with coping strategies that seem to work, and they may even work, but then over time we are relying on things that are really not authentic, and really are actually hurting us until something stops us. So I want to share too, just one thing is that when I'm working with people, I always say to them, pick something that you can commit to. Start there, set yourself up to succeed. Because the last thing we want to do is have somebody say, oh, wow, these 20 things are like so amazing. And then they quote unquote feel like they are failing when they don't do them. So we always start with what do you can absolutely do? Can you drink 4 glasses of water a day? Oh, sure, I can do that. Great. This week, do that. Next week, can you drink 5 glasses of water a day? That's a very simple explanation, but I think you get the picture. That, and just big picture for all of us is that this is all about choice. We're choosing a lifestyle that supports our greatest authentic self. Is how can we show up as the best possible version of ourself, right? So let's set us up to succeed, because I think we get in these little mini patterns of self-sabotage, and then, right, and it hits the subconscious like, oh, I'm failing again. Oh, I'm a failure. Well, I might as well just throw the whole thing out the window. Like, what was I even thinking that I could heal? Like, and all this other stuff. Like, oh, no. Come on back. Come back. So anyway, yeah, we really work on, real implementable routines. So yeah, I love that. Share with me a little bit. And so you've been doing your yoga with some of your, you're working with people who are in recovery. What have you found yoga? Because I'm not I am practicing yoga, but I'm not teaching it. I just, I had to choose one thing or another.
Yeah.
But I will say it was extremely helpful in getting grounding, and we do use that. Have you been watching people like basically metamorphose?
So I've been teaching there for 3 years, and it's in person. So right now it's a little challenging because we're basically doing chair yoga with masks on. And some people don't feel as comfortable moving their body when they're not on the mat, which is surprising to me. And then some people feel more invited to practice. It really depends on, honestly, the person's level of dedication to what they want to see for themselves. Some people say, I don't want anything to do with this. No. Some people will just meditate in the space. They'll just be quiet. I know they're receiving. And then some people are like, no. But the people who enjoy this, it's very transformational for them. Most of them have created a practice outside of our hour per week, which is, it's amazing.
Right. Beautiful. I am reminded when you were talking, I just want to say, I am reminded, I want to just get this out there, that some people that I work with truly do have some very, very serious health issues. And I work in combination with other medical practitioners, as well as holistic health healers. I am by no means think that all can be solved by lifestyle changes, but it is interesting how many, it's like 90% of health challenges can be substantially improved by lifestyle changes. And then you add additional elements of working with the mind, I should say, and spiritual issues, and it really can substantially move the needle. But it is, things out in the outside world, like, well, what we're dealing with now, the pandemic. So infection is definitely an issue, or a real trauma, physical trauma. There also is emotional trauma, or a toxicity. We have a lot of toxicity in our environment. So those are like outside ailments. I've heard numerous practitioners really come down to saying, like, the outside world health issues onto our body that assaults us comes down to toxicity, trauma, and infection. So those are real things. That's like upstream stuff. So my course, it's not that I ignore that. I don't. I hold space for that. And I'll be the first. I'm a nurse. I'm an RN at the end of the day at 21 years of age. I was a pediatric nurse and have a huge respect for that particular industry, really. But I also have such a profound respect for the other types of healing industries, which is just as important. And that's the 90%, that what I would almost call the low-hanging fruit. So those are the lifestyle habits that have really over time been detrimental to our happiness and our vitality and health. So I just wanted to carve that out, that if you are dealing, with a cancer or diabetes, and I work with people like this, please know you are welcome, and there's more there for you. You can continue what you're doing and add on.
Beautiful. And I love that you were able to integrate these two systems, the Western, the Eastern, the functional, the just traditional medical model. I think it's absolutely beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
I have two more questions for you.
Okay.
The first one is, what has been the most inspiring book that you've ever read?
Oh, well, I'm going to say two. When I was in college, I was so inspired by child psychology, like psychology in general, but child psychology, adolescent psychology. And I had a professor, his name is Brian Ackerman. I haven't been in touch with him for years, but we did keep in touch periodically. A phenomenal professor and researcher. And he had us read a book on the stages of development, and coming off of a really traumatic childhood, although I didn't think it was. I thought it was an interesting childhood, but I didn't recognize it for what I now know as very traumatic and turbulent. I could not put this book down. And you're probably going to say, what's the name of it? And I'm blanking. We'll put it in the notes.
Yeah.
And then the second most powerful book of recent years that I have read, and I have to call out, this is my recovery coach, is Tommy Rosen of Recovery 2.0. He is a profound healer, a man in recovery, It just an incredible life seeker, yogi, Kundalini yogi. And he wrote Recovery 2.0. So that's the name of his book. It's the name of his company or business. And he absolutely was instrumental, and as were other people, in helping me turn the corner. I always say, if I can get sober, you all can, because I just did not see it for decades. I did not see a life without alcohol. Mm-hmm. And now I cannot imagine a life with it. And I just see it all differently now. So it's a phenomenal book. There's so many great recovery books, The Naked Mind. I could just go on and on. Also amazing. But I would have to say Tommy Rosen's Recovery 2.0 tells it how it is. If you have addictive behaviors of any sort, pick up that book. And yeah, so that's the answer to that question. And I'm about ready to write a book. So hopefully in a couple of years, I can mention my own book.
I love that. And I'm laughing as I was asking that question of your one favorite, most impactful book, because we probably have bookshelves.
I do have bookshelves, and I have bookshelves of, I have the overflow bookshelf.
Yep. Oh, of course. That's amazing. So our last question is, how can people get in contact with you? What do you have coming up next? How can they enter your world?
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. So I work with, how you can get in touch with me is at humblewarriorwomen.com. Again, humblewarriorwomen, that's plural, women.com. My email address, jill@humblewarriorwomen.com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm about ready to get very active on YouTube and even TikTok. My son has been encouraging me to go on TikTok, which that'll be interesting. So I do, if you are interested in working with me, and I would love to talk with you, I do one-on-one coaching, and then I do group coaching, which I mentioned. It's a 3-month course where we really focus on healing modalities. It's exciting, it's fun, it's collaborative. I bring in guest speakers as well. It is just really a sensational program. I do one for women in early recovery from alcohol use disorder. And that is the next one is starting March. And so you can start signing up now. You might see the wait list tab there now, but that's about ready to change over to sign up. And then, as I said, I'm opening it up to all women looking to focus on their healing processes and look at making transformational change for themselves for any reason. And so you'll also find that at Humble Warrior Women. I think that should do us.
I added a couple of those links into the bio here, so everyone should be able to find them. And I just want to note on a couple of these comments coming in. We have Chris who said we have to mention Covey's 7 Habits.
Oh my gosh! I'm sorry. I'm having a reaction. I must say Stephen Covey is, I correct myself. The 7 Habits book is my favorite book. I have 2 copies. They are all marked up. And I gave those books to my children when they were teenagers, and a second copy now that they are all young adults. I am a walking prodigy of Stephen Covey. I love him. I know the 7 Habits. I know all the paradigms. So yes. Please, Chris, please connect with me. I must speak with you, because you and I are we must be speaking together. Because I can't even believe I didn't even say, my kids, if they're listening, they're probably going, why didn't she mention Stephen Covey's 7 Habits book? That's all she ever talks about. I always say, just be proactive. First things first. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. I mean, on and on and on. All of Stephen Covey's habits. So yes, I stand by those.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you, Chris, for reminding us.
That's crazy.
And then we have Jamie just saying hi. She became a certified recovery coach in June of last year, or 2 years ago.
Fantastic. I'm sorry. And what was her name?
Her name is Jamie.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I would love to hear from everyone. Yeah, reach out to me. Find me on Facebook, Humble Warrior Women, or Instagram, YouTube. And I really am just so humbled and honored for you to have me here. I want to just give a shout out to my family, who were so incredibly supportive as I was really very sick and was having trouble seeing the light. And as you know, with Kundalini, it's one of the Aquarian sutras is there is a way through every block. And yeah, and the only way through, or the only way out, is through, right? So, and my family has been incredible. My husband and my 3 children. I've had incredible coaches and counselors and healers. And even the people that I coach now, I say, I am a student as well at the same time as your teacher, because I'm constantly learning from this dynamic process. And yeah, I know.
Oh, so beautiful. And thank you for saying that about being a student, because I say this all the time. I am no greater than anyone I get to work with, anyone I guide. I'm a student at the same time. We can all be leaders and students. We're all in this together. And that's why this is called the Gathering Movement. It's about us coming together.
Yes.
No matter where we are in the journey, it's about us coming together to support one another, to really revolutionize how we see life, and to revolutionize the information that we consume with interesting interviews like this instead.
Yes. And similar to being a student and a teacher at the same time, when we're going through the healing process, which really is every day, we're not only the healer, we're the healed. So it's that yin yang of life, where you're on both sides always at the same time, just showing up for yourself, to give yourself the space, but at the same time guiding yourself. So I know.
Thank you for being here, Jill. Your heart is felt by me and by everyone who has listened to this today. We've learned so much, and I'm just excited for your work in the world and how many people you're going to be able to impact. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Sat Nam.
Sat Nam. And thank you everyone for watching. We will be back next week. We have 4 interviews scheduled. So thank you for really believing in this movement. I could not do this without the support and love from everyone else. So thank you guys. Have a beautiful weekend.